In this video, I do an update on silver in terms of technical analysis. Hello everyone, it's Sajad. I hope you're having a great weekend. So an update here on the price of silver. We've not seen much in terms of price action this week, but I'm going to discuss with you kind of my long-term outlook for the price of silver. So let's first of all zoom out onto a longer term chart. So this is what we were looking at in the last video, and if you've not seen it, where I talked about some critical levels, I'll link it in the top right hand side of the screen now so you can have a look and get up to speed. But basically it's this move from the March low, and if you zoom out even further, the big question is, in terms of this initial move up we had from the March lows, is this the beginning of an impulse move up, or is this still ongoing correction? The consequences are what changes, because if this is all ongoing correction, then silver will eventually move right to these March lows again, if not a little bit further, before we actually get any significant move higher. And in the other scenario, this is all part of a larger bull market. We may have completed the first structure up now. In that scenario, we'll get continuing correction, and then we should see another massive leg up, taking out the all-time highs here of silver just under $50. So in the last video, I discussed these important fib levels we had around 27.40 and also the 28.50 area. Price struggled above both of these, and we've had a turn down since. Now currently I have a short position in silver, but the reason for that is, in either scenario I mentioned at the beginning, if this was the end of a complete structure here, so let me just mark that off, then we should get a correction before another leg up. Now if the correction had ended here on the 12th of August, then we should already be moving impulsively and breaking above that high, but we haven't. We've kind of been moving sideways. So what could be going on here? Well, there's a couple of options. So I'll discuss the options first, then we'll talk about targets. One is, we are in an ongoing down leg. So from the top, we move down impulsively and we're correcting. And that correction can go on for a while, but at some point, we're going to create a flag at the bottom and eventually break through. So I don't know what price is going to do this week, but if it continues to correct and we start creating a kind of flag and a trend line like this, if we break through again, it will be the continuation of that impulse move, and then we should have more downside. Now, in terms of potential targets, if this is indeed an impulse move down, which, you know, we can never be 100% sure, but the two levels I'm looking at, I'm just going to draw some horizontal lines here. If we do get further move down around here, looking left on the chart in terms of support and resistance, we're looking at around the 2290, and then even further down, the next kind of level you'll be looking at is around the 1940 to 1950 level. So they will be important if we move further down. So what else could be going on here? Well, if this was a three-wave correction, we would expect an impulse, 5 waves up. But this doesn't look like an impulse. It looks like very likely a double zigzag. So that was the point I just made. We're correcting up still. And then we've seen kind of correction back down as well. So the other possibility is we could be falling into a triangle. So let me just mark that off. In the bullish scenario, this was the top of perhaps a wave 3, and we're actually sideways now, falling into a triangle that could end at any point. What that would mean in that scenario is we've developed kind of a again, it's not quite a flag, but what you could call a sideways wedge or pennant here. So if we get any breakout out of this top side and price is quite impulsive, so it starts rallying above here, I will be stopped out of my position anyway, because I have a stop above 28.5. So here I'll be out of the position anyway. But after that, if we're getting any impulse here and we get good volume down here as well, so we'll look at volume in just a minute. If we get a good volume breakout, then we could see much further upside, and then I'll do another updated video, but potentially we could get into silver prices of around $33 or $34, and that would be the next targets would be around there. Again, these are all hypotheticals. We don't know what's going to happen this week with price action, and silver has a tendency as well sometimes just to go sideways for several weeks, so that's what could also happen. The thing is, the more it goes sideways and doesn't kind of drop further down, the more you begin to think that this sideways consolidation is all just a larger correction of this move up. So we're getting sideways consolidation, and at some point you would favor, then if we continue going sideways and we don't get a breakdown, then you would have to flip position and you would have to favor actually an upward breakout is perhaps more likely in that scenario. But again, we can never be 100% sure of these things. We have to just watch what happens with price action. That will dictate everything first and foremost, even before kind of fundamentals. Thing about triangles is you can get them in B waves as well. So if we did have 5 waves down here, then we could have a triangle, but it's kind of reversed. So what would be happening there is, let me just draw it again. So we'd be having a triangle, but in the opposite direction, or some sort of complex sideways correction as well, but that would eventually break down. So in that scenario, it'd be breaking downwards. And because we're getting this kind of constricting of price action, usually when you get that, and the longer it continues sideways, usually the move thereafter tends to be stronger as well. Like I said, I still favor down, but I mean, this is not a prediction site. This is just me watching price action and considering different possibilities and taking a trade based on probability. And for me, I favor slightly more than the bullish scenario. I favor short term the bearish scenario slightly more. So for me, that's why I have another short trade in place for silver. Now let's have a look at the volume. You can see here, as we were going up, very, very light volume until silver eventually took off. Possible heavy selling volume here, and then on the way down. But then we had good volume in the $24 area here as well. Now, in terms of what happened last week, big, massive volume spike there, and price didn't really move much up or down, and it was actually a red candle. So no real massive clues there, to be honest with you. And again, then we just went sideways in kind of Thursday, Friday session, an increase in volume, but not really supported by price again. So you're wondering, is there more selling there into these kind of higher prices? Is there distribution around here? Again, we can never know for sure. We're just looking for clues from the price action. There's not much we can add to that, to be honest with you, in terms of technical analysis, because the momentum indicators here wouldn't be particularly helpful. And we know the gold-silver ratio is also not too extreme either. Let me just show you that very quickly. So this is the gold-silver ratio on a daily chart, and you can see here we're massively in favor of gold over silver. The ratio got to 126, quite unbelievable levels, but then it's corrected way down, and at the moment we're sitting around the 70 level here. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. Are there any particular fundamentals you're looking at the moment in the price of silver or precious metals? Do you think this year will be the time when we get a massive bullish run in, for example, silver prices above $50 and even all the way to $100? Or do you think that might just be happening too soon? Thanks very much for listening.